Good evening. Welcome to the Haywood County Board of Commissioners meeting for August 17th, 2015. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this day. We thank you for all that you have bestowed on us, and we thank you so much for allowing us to live in this fine county. Dear Lord, just be with the four of us this evening. We make decisions for the county, guide us and direct us, and give us the wisdom and the ability to make the best decisions for our constituents. In your name we ask this prayer.
Okay, we'll move to the public comment session. I've had one request to speak. That is Sam Smith.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, thank you for the opportunity to appear before you this evening. My purpose is to underscore the fact that next week, the Haywood County Fair begins on August the 25th and continues through the 31st at the fairgrounds. We provided each of you with a copy of the fair guide and hope that you'll use that as we look forward to those events that are coming up. There are several things that I would just like to underscore. We're doing some new things this year, and of course continuing some of the traditional activities that we have as well. Our fair exhibits will be coming in on Tuesday, a week from tomorrow, August the 25th. On August the 26th, on Wednesday, we will have the opening ceremonies that evening at 6 o'clock, and we'd like to invite each of you to be there for that event. We are adding a new event that evening. It's an ugly pickup truck contest. So if any of you happen to have a pickup truck that you'd like to enter into that contest, we'd be more than happy to have you here. I had one several years ago, but it's gone now, so I can't use it. On Thursday will be Senior Citizens Day. There at the fairgrounds, our firemen's competition that evening, and then the big bingo event that's very popular that evening as well. Friday the 28th is school day, where we entertain all of the fourth graders from the Haywood County schools, and also we'll be providing a spaghetti supper among other things that are going on throughout the day and evening. Saturday and Sunday are our largest and busiest days at the fair. One of the new things we're doing this year is what we're calling a family fun day, which is especially for children. We'll have a special area set up with a lot of different stations and opportunities for children to be involved and have a good time and take some of the opportunities that they have there for participating as well. That evening, Saturday, FFA barbecue will be taking place, Haywood County FFA barbecue at 3 o'clock. And then perhaps one of the more interesting things we have going on, and although you can't see this, you may recognize those colors posted in some of the businesses and organizations in Haywood County. We will be having cast members from the Lizard Lick Towing and Recovery reality TV program who will be here for that day beginning at 12 o'clock, signing autographs, taking pictures, and having souvenirs for sale from 12 to 7 on Saturday, and then from 7 to 9, a ticketed VIP event, which will be an opportunity to get a little more closely acquainted with some of those folks who are a part of that Lizard Lick Towing TV program. On Saturday also, we will have our regular tractor pull, which attracts a lot of people. The horse show will be that evening. Also, all of the livestock shows will be taking place in the Burley Livestock Barn on Saturday afternoon. Goats and feeder calves and beef and dairy all will be competing at that particular time. And then on Sunday at 10 o'clock, there will be a preaching service in the arena. Ron Shirley, who's one of the stars of the Lizard Lick program, will be preaching along with Gene Blankenship with Cowboy Church, and anyone who's interested in that would be more than welcome to do that. Each evening, of course, we will have special music. The large majority of it is bluegrass. On Sunday afternoon will be the Smoky Mountain Jamboree, which will be emceed by Joe Sam Queen. So we have a lot of things going on this next week. Want to invite you to participate as often as you can. and to enjoy along with the other 12 to 15,000 people that we usually have come to the fair to have a good time over that particular period of time. Once again, thank you for this opportunity and hope you can join us at the fair.
Thank you, Sam. I hope you have good weather. It's important. Okay, is there anyone else present who would care to address the board? Okay, if not, we'll move to constituent concerns. Michael?
Nothing really, except just like to take a moment or two to thank our staff for the work that they do for the county or for our citizens. I think we've had a few comments from citizens, particular departments and everything, how the customer service has been extremely good. And I want to take the time to thank you all for the hard work that you do out there. And the other thing is Friday night is football time in Haywood County. And that's going to be a start of a big thing for the county, along with the fair next week. So everybody get out there and support the local teams in the fair. Thank you.
Everybody's undefeated at this point. Kirk, you mean?
I had one lady call me this past week about the difficulties she had out at Crusoe during what was that? What they have out there? I forgot.
Blue Ridge Breakaway, I think.
Yeah,
It was the Lake Logan.
No, the Lake Logan Triathlon.
Triathlon.
And I indicated to her that they had hired a number of officers to direct traffic and things like that. And I told her she could call the sponsors of that event, but I told her we weren't necessarily in control or a sponsor of that. So I don't know if she called
We
the
all
county
got it.
We all
manager.
got
Yeah,
to call, and I also talked to Ira about that, and I think you were going to try to at least talk with her.
I did try to touch base with the person that had called that you'd passed the phone number on and did not receive a call back. So I'm in a left
As Kirk pointed out, it was a private venture. So it was not in any way related to Haywood County government. Bill?
I had a couple of items that Ira's taking care of. So,
Okay.
Thank you, Ira.
Okay. We have an and agency reports tonight. Smoky Mountain Center Fiscal Monitoring Report, which is, I believe, do this quarterly. Julie, is that right?
That's right. Every quarter I bring a Smoky Mountain Center Fiscal Monitoring Report. This is for the quarter ending June 30th, 2015. This is the unaudited number, so when they have their audit, they may change slightly. But you'll note that the total revenue that they've received for the entire fiscal year is $373,302,916, and the total expenditures through the fiscal year, $348,652,322, for a total increase of $24,649,594.
There's nothing else that's outstanding or noteworthy?
No,
in
not
the report?
really.
Okay. Any questions of Julie? Okay, thank you. There's no real change to the agenda tonight, but there will be, item 6 is going to be expanded a little bit under new business. We have Dr. Barbara Parker here and some other members of the Community College Board, so that will be a bit expanded under, again, number 6. Okay, move to the consent agenda. We've had the opportunity to review the August 3rd, 2015 regular meeting minutes. Are there any changes to those?
No.
Okay, if not, we'll move to the second item. David Francis with refunds, releases, amendments, and discoveries.
Good evening, Commissioners. Hope everybody's doing pretty well.
Evening.
Before you have the releases and refunds for July last month. Nothing unusual or to report to the board at this time. If you have any questions,
And we've had the opportunity to review those. And,
I review them every month.
okay,
Thank you.
yep, every month. So, any questions of David?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We'll move next then to approve the settlement of taxes collected in 2014 and 2015. We have Mike Matthews, our tax collector. Welcome.
Good evening, Commissioners. We've got our final numbers from 2014-15. These are still unaudited, but out of a net levy of $39,747,286, we were at 97.47%, which was $38,742,408. That is, you asked about motor vehicles before. Excluding the motor vehicles in that, we were at 97.29. And with the registered motor vehicles that were collected, we're 99.97. That's not really, I mean, that's done down at the tag office now. I was able to pull up some numbers for you for, what motor vehicles are outstanding that you had asked about. We're showing a total back from 2005 to now of 554,000. And that goes back over the years. Now about 63,000 of that will be written off in September from the 2005 numbers. And then we've got a plan for the rest of them. We're gonna send them to the.
Been hearing a lot of good things about the people in your office.
They've done a great job, done a fantastic job. And let's see.
Any questions of,
I'm sorry?
any commissioners had any questions?
Just a comment. We should have done this tag situation a long time ago. I had to go get my truck inspected today, drove across the street, paid my taxes, and got that sticker. That was an expensive sticker, so it does work.
Yeah. Yeah.
It does. Okay. Any other comments or observations?
Then I've got, just some of our other plans as far as, I already asked a couple things about, different ones that are 5,000 and up, and that's worth, I've got a list. I've got a stack here where we're at with them. There's not one of them that we haven't touched or have some sort of action going on. I mean, it's not a lengthy list, but it's pretty detailed. If anybody would ever like to swing by and talk about it or set up a time to sit down together and talk about it, I'd be more than happy.
Give it.
Yeah, I'll be happy to.
Okay.
Just read that. Yes, we had discussed that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Unless you want to do it now. It could be kind of lengthy. Thanks, guys.
Mike, tell your ladies, I guess you got some guys in there too. They're doing a great job.
I'm sorry?
The ladies, your workers in your office, thank them for the job they do.
I sure will. Yeah, they've done
They carried us through some tough times.
They have. They've done a great job. So thank you, guys.
Okay. Thank you, Mike. Okay, we'll return to Julie Davis. Some budget amendments. Julie?
Good evening again. A few budget amendments today. It's kind of early in the year for budget amendments, but you'll see why we're doing those as I go through some of these. The first one is a grant. This is the Blue Ridge National Heritage Grant that you'll remember from years and years. It's a long process, but they're working through this, and we're hoping to be finished soon. There's $268,899 left in that grant for them to spend, and we're putting that money in this fiscal year so they can finish out the project.
Any questions there? Okay.
The next one is Health and Human Services. This is $2,294. This is grant revenue money that was not spent last year and is available to spend in the current fiscal year.
Okay.
The next one is a little bit different. This is a solid waste special revenue fund. What we have here are contracts that were entered into in the last fiscal year, and when June 30th came to an end, the contracts were not completed, so the money that would have been spent rolled into fund balance. So what I'm doing is taking $336,635 out of the special revenue fund balance to cover the balance of those contracts this fiscal year.
Right. Okay.
And the last one is a simple reallocation. This is Health and Human Services again. We need to have we need $16,000 in a budget for the breast and cervical cancer line. So we're adding $5,000 to bring it up to $16,000. And the way we're getting there is to reduce some of the other line items in the health department.
Okay. Any questions of Julie?
No questions.
Okay. And if there's no further questions or observations on the consent agenda, I would entertain a motion that it be approved as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. There is no old business tonight, so we'll move to new business. The first will be Chris Boyd, our planning director, with a request for approval of a resolution application for a special use permit for a new telecommunications tower. on Sleepy Hollow Lane near Lake Junaluska. Chris?
Thank you. The application was received and we held a public hearing in July regarding the request for a special use permit to install the new tower on Sleepy Hollow Lane. At the public hearing, Mr. Sam Stiles had some concerns about stormwater runoff. Mark Pruitt and I visited the site with folks from the Junaluska Public Works and Mr. Stiles. Mr. Stiles does have a legitimate concern. If the work is not done properly in site preparation, it could increase dramatically the amount of stormwater he may receive. My suggestion is, upon approval of the special use permit, that we require the contractor to obtain a land disturbing permit from the county prior to beginning the work on site.
Okay. So you're offering that as a contingency to the approval?
Not to the approval. After the approval, a requirement that prior to beginning work. I've talked with the applicant, Pennington Law Firm, for this, and I've talked with folks at Junaluska Assembly. We're all in agreement that that's satisfactory, that the county would require that. We have that ability within our erosion control ordinance, and that will also, having that permit will give us the mechanism for inspections to require that the site is prepared correctly for stormwater conveyance.
Chris, why is that? I'm trying to figure out how is that going to cause a problem? It's not a big area that's going to be disturbed,
It's not a big
right?
area. It's a very small area. But the steepness of the slope, where this water tank sits, is a very small flat area. But uphill and downhill is a very steep slope. And there are some houses in the drainage down below on Muzon Road. Currently, there is a stormwater conveyance system that pushes the water to the back of the site into a drainage ditch to some dispersal pipes along the road. If that site's not prepared and make sure that that water gets to that current drainage system, it'll roll right off the face of the slope.
I can
onto
see
a
that
very
now,
steep
you know,
area.
catch it early and keep it from coming over the
Convey it to
disturbed.
a
Okay.
different area
Okay.
that's not so steep.
Has there been any other public comment in opposition?
I've had none.
Okay,
And I've had none come into my office since this.
okay. Any questions of Chris? As I said, we've had a public hearing, and we've visited this several times. So.
Yes.
Okay, then, if there's no further observations or questions, would entertain a motion approving the resolution and application for the special use permit for the new telecommunications tower on Sleepy Hollow Lane, which is near Lake Junaluska, and the variant stipulating an erosion control plan and land disturbing permit be obtained from Haywood County prior to receiving a building permit or beginning construction. So entertain that motion.
So move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And next, we have, you're not Chief Haynes, are you?
I'm going to try. Good evening, Commissioners.
Welcome.
We request approval for 5 2016 police interceptors for an order resulting from competitive bidding under General Statute 143-123. The Sheriff's Office has been approved to purchase 5 2016 utility police interceptors in the current budget year, and it's determined that Ken Wilson Ford was the only bidder that we had. At approval, Haywood County Sheriff's Office will order 5 2016 utility police interceptors from Ken Wilson Ford for a total of $132,465.
Okay. This amount was budgeted in last year's budget. So it was just a matter of going through the process of obtaining bids. And as you point out, they were the
Yes,
only
sir.
bidder, but they were the lowest responsive bidder. as
Yes,
well.
sir.
So, any questions?
What kind of vehicle is that? Is it an interceptor?
It's like
Or is that-
it's civilian is the Explorer, it's
Okay.
the police version of the Explorer.
Okay.
Is there just not any other companies out there that bid those particular kind of vehicles? I know
They were-
sedans, there's other, or appears to be other Dodges and everything like that out there, so.
Well, for the price, for the money, no one else could touch that. Actually, Ken Wilson Ford was below what the state contract was, and meets our needs.
I was going to see if you could get me one of those at that price. That's pretty good.
Absolutely.
Well, and I want to thank Ken Wilson Ford for doing that. I mean, a local
Absolutely.
company here, so I really appreciate them doing this.
Yeah.
Plus the lights
Good
at the Pisgah Stadium baseball field. Ken Wilson.
Yeah, it's, in the past, sometimes those contracts have gone outside the county, and you don't have a choice sometimes, but
Yeah.
it's good to see them step up. Okay, if there's nothing further then, would entertain a motion to approve the purchase of 5 2016 utility police vehicles from Ken Wilson Ford Incorporated for a total price of $132,465.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next up, we have Melinda Massey.
Good evening.
Becoming a regular here.
I believe this will be the last time that we get to meet, which is wonderful news. I want to thank you all for your support as a fiscal agent for our grant that has been going for quite some time. We are here for approval of the final contract required for us to complete this project. We have the signs fabricated, delivered, inspected, and just sitting waiting to go in the ground, and that's this last step is accepting the lowest bid for the installation contract.
Okay, and of course, this is for the Blue Ridge National Heritage Area's trail signs.
Yes.
And the lowest responsive bid was $78,750, and this is will be funded from a Federal Highway Administration grant. So are there any questions of Ms. Massey?
Where's Way Baytay?
They're based out of Charlotte.
That's an interesting name.
Their business name is Signs Etc.
Okay.
Any other questions? If not, then would entertain a motion for approval of the installation of the sign panel and bases for the Blue Ridge National Heritage Area's trail signs by Way Baytay Holdings Incorporated for a total bid of $78,750 from a Federal Highway Administration grant.
So move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you.
We're very grateful. Thank you.
Okay. And next up, we have our Health and Human Services Agency Director, Stoney Blevins. Welcome, Stoney. He's requesting approval for a foster care board rate increase.
Good evening, gentlemen. Bring you this proposal upon the unanimous recommendation of the Health and Human Services Board. And really, we're trying to accomplish 3 goals with this recommendation. One is to raise the board rate for our local foster parents who are caring for children who must be removed from their homes due to abuse or neglect. And the second thing it accomplishes is it allows us to keep our foster children in our county. We have 100 children in foster care at almost any time, and that number has forced us to have to place children out of the county because of a lack of, licensed homes in our county. So we're hoping this will be a good recruitment strategy for us to be able to keep kids here. And the third thing it accomplishes for us is it also is more beneficial to the taxpayer, because even with the increased board rate to our local parent, we will save county dollars over the cost of a private placement. Private placements are almost $1,000 more than the minimum state board rate. So we bring this to you for your consideration.
And as we discussed at the Health and Human Services Board, this private placement does sometimes take place as far away as the coast of North Carolina.
Yes.
And we still have an obligation, a legal obligation, to monitor those children and to have site visits and so forth. And
We do. We visit these children every month, regardless of where they're placed.
And 7-8 hour drive and
Plus
a
a
meeting and a
hotel.
drive back. It's a lot of time. So
Sony, compared to other counties of our size, how do we stand as far as the number? The 100 seems very large.
How do we stand?
How
in
do we
terms of
stand
number of
as
foster
in
children?
comparison to?
Donna, would you know that? How do we compare in terms of the number of children in care?
Is that a high number compared to make it?
I'm going to ask Ms. Donna Lupton, who's our social work director, to come up and help me with this one. I certainly.
Good evening. I would say based on our population, that's not really a high number. It's an average number that we have had over the last 10 years or so, actually. We got up to 155 at one point. What I hear from our regional representatives is that as far as the far western 7 counties, we have more children in foster care than those other counties do altogether. So we do have a fair amount of kids, but if you compared us to, say, Buncombe County, they have over 300 kids in foster care at any given time. So 100 is a lot of kids, but I don't think it's out of proportion based on our population or the numbers of reports that we receive.
I guess for clarification on this going up, I mean, that's to pay the foster parents here in the county to do this, okay? And if by going up, we're able to maybe get more foster parents to step up the plate so we don't have to go out of the county or to a private agency that is almost 3 times more money than what we will spend, plus we have to travel back and forth and we've got expenses. So basically what we're trying to do, even though we're upping it a little bit, we are going to see some cost savings from that.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the human benefits too, you know, it's disruptive enough to be taking a child from its home. Then you take them from their communities, their school, their friends, other relatives perhaps, so, and take them, you know, 500 miles away.
Our goal is to get these children back home, if at all possible, and even it's very difficult for parents sometimes. So if your child is 3-4 counties away, it also impacts the ability for us to schedule as many visitations. So either we have to take the parent with us 3-4 counties away, or we have to go get that child, bring them back for a visit, then take them back 3 or 4 counties away and come back. So it even facilitates or fosters more family involvement when the child is living in the community with their biological family.
Do you see that this increase will in fact bring more people in that will be able to provide this service for us?
Well, time will tell. We haven't put it in yet, but we did just finish a licensing class where we licensed 6 local families, and we're getting ready to have another class in September, and we have had a pretty good response. I don't know what the final...
We have had 20 people apply to participate in our next training course. Some of those may not complete it, but we hope to get a good base of parents. And one additional thing that this will do, you know, we don't like to have to compete with private agencies who can offer more incentives to families. They give them a vacation stipend or what have you. And foster parents are like gold. If you've got good ones, you want to keep them because that means our children don't have to jump around to so many placements. So another good benefit of raising this increase is that they're not going to be so easily swayed by private licensing agencies to move over to them just because they'll still get children in their homes, which is hopefully their heart's desire. But, you know, we can offer them, I think, what would be fair compensation because it's a lot of work to bring children into your home and provide for them just like you would your own.
Somebody watching this on television that would like to be a foster parent, how would they go about contacting you?
If a person's interested in being a foster parent, we are still taking those applications for an upcoming MAP class. They can call the agency. They can ask for me, Donna Lupton. They can ask for our licensing supervisor, Pam Montgomery, or our licensing social worker, Rachel Young, and that's just at our general county number.
Which is?
Which is 452-6620.
Okay, very good.
Thank you for that free advertisement.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
Yeah, so the rates that you're raising, did we have the standard board rate before? Is that what the county had?
Yes,
And so for 0 to 5-year-old, instead of $475, it will be $575, and that's what they get per month.
right.
And the 6 to 12 is $675, and 13 to 18 years is $775.
Right.
Okay.
And just for those who might be watching on TV, it's not payment. So foster parents are not employees. That is literally for room and board. So that money is to pay for food, clothing, rent, basically. So it is a stipend. It is not a payment. And for those of us who have raised children, you can look at that amount and say that's really not a lot of money
No, it's
to
not.
feed and clothe and take children to.
Yeah, for what they have to do, and I've had some experience on both sides of that, and the thing that you have to remember is that they're not just taking care of a child that's placed in that home. That child is coming from an environment that however minor or major, it was enough that the child had to be taken from that home, and so there's no telling what they've experienced. And they've seen things from just delinquency and neglect all the way to people being murdered in front of them. And I know for a fact people who take care of those, not necessarily in Haywood County. And you know, to get this amount of money to deal with all the issues you have to deal with, it's amazing we have as many we do. And I thank those people who step forward to be foster parents for what they do.
And the Health and Human Services Agency Board, again, I sit on that board, approved this rate at their last meeting for presentation to the commissioners. So, any other questions or comments? Okay, if not, would entertain a motion that the foster care board rate increase as set forth in the payment schedule for family foster homes be approved.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you, Stoney. Can we move to our county manager with a request for reappointments to the Settlement Control Board?
Yes, good evening, Commissioners. The Settlement Control Board had met, and they are requesting reappointment of Bill Yarborough as a member and Charles Boyd as an alternate on the Settlement Control Board.
Okay, there's no questions. Entertain a motion for approval of that appointment.
So move.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Okay. Move to item 6. We have a conversation, discussion about the Haywood Community College Public Training Facility. Giving an update, we have Dr. Barbara Parker with us, as well as several board members. Brett Lanning is the architect up there. Chair of the board is here, Richard Lanning. So I think there's some others back there that I see. So thank you for coming. And Dr. Parker, just give us, this is fairly informal, just give us a capsule version of where we're at right now.
Okay, sure will. Thank you, Mr. Swanger, Commissioners. I'll rewind just a little bit. You all, of course, are aware that back in late 2007, early 2008, commissioners gave property to the college for the purpose of building an emergency services facility. In 2012, there was a feasibility study done. A consultant was hired, and folks from the college as well as the emergency services sectors participated in that. And during that time, there were recommendations that were made for a burn tower, a training tower. There was an area to work with hazardous chemicals that was suggested. Also, a driving course was suggested, as well as a helipad for just some of the things. Things continued to develop, and in 2013, the interim president at that time came to our board and to you all as commissioners, and it went to the community college system to approve building a burn tower, 1.5-story burn tower, as well as a 4-story training tower and an apparatus bay. Excuse me. That was in late 2013, or I guess in June, right before I came to the college. That January 2014, Mr. Lanning and I put together a design committee. That design committee selected a designer. We went out for applications and selected a designer, and then that design committee worked on the design of that facility. And that took a fairly significant amount of time. On that committee were members of the college, members of the board, community members, as well as representatives from all of the public services entities. Committee did a fabulous job, really starting with looking at what they'd love to have and then paring it down to what they really felt they needed in order to safely train emergency services responders, and to do it in a manner that was different than we're able to do now. We went out for bids on July 16th. We had 10 plan holders. From that, we received 6 bids, and unfortunately, we received quite a surprise. The bids came in, the lowest bid was better than $1 million over the budgeted price. So at that time, our board started discussing options, and Chairman Swanger, Mr. Dove, and Ms. Davis were kind enough to come to our meeting and talk to us about options. From Ms. Davis's report, there is enough money, or there will be enough money, as the quarter-cent sales tax accumulates, to borrow more money to get a larger loan to support the funding of the construction. One of the concerns that was expressed by our board is the yearly maintenance and operations that will be a yearly expense. And of course, Mr. Swanger, our board asked if there was any possibility that the county could assist with that yearly maintenance and operations cost. So I'm here to support that request and to talk to you a little bit about what that involves. I think you have 2 documents. One includes the maintenance numbers, housekeeping. You see you've got housekeeping, plant maintenance, electricity, propane to run the props. It is a burn building that has gas props in it. They're fired by propane gas. And then the water and sewer. That estimate is around $56,000 a year. We have talked with Buncombe County. We visited the Buncombe County facility. We've also gotten some numbers from Cleveland County and some of the other counties that have these types of facilities, and that is our best estimate based on the number of classes we run. We also, as part of that maintenance and operations, the best guidance, the guidance that we continue to hear is you have to have somebody who is responsible for that facility. It is a highly technical facility. The props, as I said, are gas-fired. There is a device that turns them on, that turns them off. The props have to be inspected after each burn. There is a substantial cleaning that occurs after each burn where the inside of the tower has to be hosed down. If there's any kind of fire extinguisher or what have you used, there's additional cleaning that has to occur. So this position would be a public services training facility coordinator. It's not related to instructional. It is strictly for maintenance and scheduling of the facility. And so they would be responsible for training the coordinators, the instructional coordinators, as far as the technicalities of the building, how to use the equipment. They would be responsible for securing the building. We do feel that this is a building that needs to be highly secured because it does have fire, smoke, different things that would be dangerous if someone who got into the building and turned something on by accident. So that they would be responsible for securing, for training, for scheduling along with the instructional coordinators, for doing the daily inspections. There are yearly inspections that have to happen as far as OSHA goes. So that would really be their role. We're looking at, we have done some research. In Buncombe County, they have 2 positions at their facility, but it is larger than ours. So we feel we can do what we need to do with 1 position. And the salary range for that that position would the high end of that salary, you can see, would be $51,000. And so in calculating on the high end, and we're not saying we would employ someone at that high end, but worst case scenario would be with that salary and benefits would be around $70,000. So the total operations and maintenance cost for the building yearly, we are estimating, and again, it is only an estimate, at around $126,000.
I know that I asked Ira to get with Greg and some of the emergency management folks about the potential for some grants and that sort of thing through Homeland Security. This is a first responder type of scenario in many ways.
Yes.
So, Ira, have we had time to learn anything about that?
A little bit. For ongoing operations and maintenance, rather than just like short training and stuff, it's not looking good as far as the type of things they'd fund, according to Greg Shuping. It's not looking like the ongoing maintenance, we might have difficulty just based on the, and this is just, again, a cursory look that Greg Shuping, our emergency management director, took, but it's not looking good for ongoing maintenance.
We have done some research on the college side as well with regard to that, because I think you had suggested to me and several others, we've done research on where we might find grants. What we have run into so far is that a lot of the emergency services entities have to apply for the grants, and then it can't go into a facility owned by the college. That is a problem. If they got a grant, it would go into a fire department or something like that. It couldn't come over to something that they did not own. That's what we found to this point. We're still looking, but that has been what we found at this point.
We may need to think outside the box a little bit moving forward, depending on what your board does. Now, your board has not yet voted to...
Our board has a special call meeting this Friday at noon, where they will be considering the options.
As far as this board doesn't have the legal authority to promise something that would require another board to take a particular action. You can't bind another board into the future. Just like your board can't do that, we can't do that either. And you know, a request which would come from the college, assuming you agree to move forward, would be in the next fiscal year and beyond in any event. It would not be in this fiscal year. Is that right?
That is correct. We would not need this position until near the end of construction.
Right.
We anticipate, we would like to think construction would start sometime late fall.
On this operation deal, okay, the particular people that are going to use this, are they going to be charged for it?
The college will earn FTE. The emergency services entities are fee waived for the most part, so they do not have to pay for the class. The class is waived. However, we are able to earn FTE. Let me tell you a little bit about FTE. FTE, of course, is full-time equivalent. It takes 688 hours of instruction, contact hours, to earn one FTE. One FTE is equivalent to $4,665.56 this past budget year. FTE fluctuates. The state tells us what an FTE is worth. But that can give you some idea of what we earn. Last year, we had 198 FTE, 198.37 FTE, for a total of $925,507 in those four emergency services: fire, law, EMS, and our allied health. What we found was our revenue and our expenses are about even. We're not making money, we're not losing money in that entity. Now, continuing ed encompasses other areas as well.
So do you see additional revenue coming out of this project?
I think there will be opportunities to earn additional revenue. We will be able to offer some additional classes by virtue of the training tower, the burn tower, that we don't have the ability to do right now. One of the props is a jail cell. There is a detention officer training that has to occur in a jail cell. We don't have the ability to do that at the college now. We would be able to do that. Scheduling, our current, these four areas are in kind of non-permanent space. They're in temporary space. When the part of the college that was in Clyde, when the flood came, several of these emergency services entities were located there. They had to come to the college, and they're all housed where the auditorium is. If you're familiar with the college, that lobby, we've put up walls and made classrooms. And so scheduling is such a challenge, and we can't always offer all of the classes we'd like to offer because of scheduling. BLET has very specific guidelines, state guidelines. Their classrooms have to be certain square footage. They have to meet certain sound requirements. Doug, am I, okay. There are very clear guidelines, and we only have one of those spaces that is equipped to serve BLET right now. And so in the new facility, while there is a dedicated BLET classroom, all of the classrooms would meet the specifications for BLET. So if one wasn't being used, let's say fire weren't using their classroom on X night, they might be able to share it with BLET. So we've really tried to design the space so that we could have multiple uses. Does that answer your question?
Well, I mean, I'm just trying to figure out, about the maintenance problem, the situation. I mean, I understand, freeing up classrooms, but, where you can move people down there and possibly have more areas to train or whatever, but then that frees up space that they're already taking in the existing facilities that you could do something else with.
Right.
But, and then, there was some question about potentially going outside the county and bringing other entities in to use this. And they would be charged, but are they under the same thing that they're with the public service thing where the fees are waived?
We currently train, I'm going to ask Mr. Birchfield to come up. He is our Dean of Workforce Development and Continuing Ed, so I want to be sure I give you accurate information. But we currently train some of the emergency services folks out of Tennessee. There are, I think, up to mile 8 on I-40. Tennessee covers in Haywood County. And we do have to charge those folks. Their fee is not waived because they're out of state.
Yeah, that was based off of state legislation. They came, we tried to get those folks fee waived, I don't know, it was about 4 years ago. And essentially we were told no, that they did have to pay for those classes. So some of those folks, when they come, they do have to pay for the classes. It's not very often, but they do come occasionally. As far as outside of the county, we do have a lot of folks that do come from outside of the county.
So you could potentially see a revenue from outside sources that could help with this maintenance.
Well, because most of the all the public safety is actually fee waived, so it doesn't matter which county.
That's what I was asking, out of the county.
Right, it doesn't matter which county they live in. If they're in fire law,
North Carolina.
EMS, they're going to be fee waived in North Carolina.
We have a fire college in the fall that we draw from all over the state. Last year we had, I don't know, 300 and some.
350.
So, but they were.
That's an ongoing thing? I mean, that's,
Yes.
you're going to continue to have that?
Yes,
Yes.
yes. There are other opportunities that, we've talked about. There are fire extinguisher certifications that have to happen, small entry industry. There's some industry training we could do. There are multiple other trainings we could do, but as far as earning FTE that above us making money on it, I think we would break even on it for sure.
Absolutely.
But the ones that you can charge, are they going to be charged? I mean, is that considered FTE monies or extra monies or?
No, sir. I mean, if you've done something like, I don't know, something for the house for like, let's say self-defense, or maybe you offered some fire extinguisher training for the general public, those would not earn FTE simply because of the classification that
It's
they are.
whatever
That's
you
all.
charge, so,
We would
Right.
charge.
okay, so, I'm just,
Yeah, those would.
wondering if we're, if this is a building that people, that we're going to provide, which, it's going to be an asset to the county, but, is it in fact, I mean, it's not a freebie, but it's almost a free facility.
Well, we do earn FTE, but that
FTEs only
is-
can pay for an instructor, that's about all
It pays
it
for
amounts to.
instructors, supplies, it pays for administrative costs. There's a lot of paperwork and reporting that has to occur in these programs, as you can well imagine, because of liability and individuals have to be certified. These programs have to be accredited. There's a lot of paperwork that has to go toward the accreditations and so forth. So their administrative costs, about 30% of the FTE that's earned comes off the top to go to administrative costs.
I remember, I think Kirk was on the board, and I believe Bill as well, in 2008, when the decision was made to give title to that land out there. I think it's 20 odd acres or 22 acres, the track. Yeah, whatever.
Yes.
I think it was 22. And one of the purposes was to build this training facility.
Right.
And
So you don't anticipate the FTEs paying for what you have requested here at all? You don't anticipate the money that you're receiving from the FTE to pay for the operations and maintenance of 56,000, nor the public services training facility coordinator, because he won't be teaching anything, he'll just be making sure the facilities run properly, which it's my understanding that if you don't run this properly, and a couple of other counties have experienced this, then you burn up your burn facility,
Yeah, exactly.
and you don't have it anymore.
And this person would certainly be somebody who we want to be busy all the time. It is our anticipation that they would be involved in maintenance, inspections, all those things. If there was any extra time, we would certainly have them teach something, but keep in mind, a student who, if a student takes 16 hours, if they're physically.
Barbara, you might want to scoot over there, just to make sure.
If they're physically in a classroom, in the class, there's 16 seated hours, and we have 15 students in that class, that would earn about a third of an FTE. So, this person's ability to instruct would probably be limited, and just to give you a perspective of what that would actually earn, it's very limited. A third of that $4,665 number. Does that help kind of put it in perspective?
Yeah, I guess, and so the instructors that you have at this facility, the hours that they teach, those FTEs would go to pay for that instructor. These are just additional costs, is what I'm trying to.
Yes.
And what you're saying is we're not going to have the FTEs to cover it. We really have no way to cover this. This is an additional expense.
That is correct.
Yes, sir.
And you don't anticipate being able to charge most of these folks because their fee is waived. And you've got a few in Tennessee and maybe somewhere else that you can actually charge to have income. So you don't really have any income to offset these expenses, is what you're saying.
That's correct.
And,
Yes, sir.
and you're telling me you don't.
That is correct. Our budget for continuing education comes from the previous year's activity. So based on the previous year's activity and looking at what we're teaching this year, we're even.
Okay.
Now, what will happen 10 years from now, I can't predict, but based on historically, we would not have the funding to add this position.
That's
So
correct,
is that-
yes.
okay.
I mean, we would all love to see it grow into something much larger than it is today, and hopefully be able to recoup some of that. However, at this time, based off of past history, I think we're going to have to go by the numbers that we've got. And those historically have been fairly level over the past few years.
Okay. And just jumping to the other subject, and even though the bids came in at right around $1 million more than what you anticipated, you're still willing to go ahead and construct the facility because you think you're going to have the income, and I guess you guys have met and determined you will have the income to pay for the facility, and you're going to construct it.
That is the consideration of our board, yes, that they have looked at several options. I don't want to speak for the board chairman's here, but I think the board is very supportive of this project. They, of course, are concerned that it's come in significantly over budget, and in looking at how to pay for it, borrowing another $1 million plus, as well as these maintenance and operations costs. I think the maintenance and operations quickly rose to the top as a concern.
So y'all have decided to move forward like it
No.
is?
Did you say, have we decided to move forward? No, we have not.
But basically what you wanted to do to come here tonight is to say, if we do move forward, can we know that these expenses right here are paid, because we really can incur this additional expense and do the project and also incur this?
I think that for several of our board members, yes, that is very true.
okay? And you're coming back to us because a lot of our employees are going to be able to use this facility.
They are, yes. And we're certainly very supportive of them. They currently use the college.
Right.
Chairman, I got.
You're looking at
Go ahead.
a couple of, options you have to bid some things separately, perhaps. I don't know where that stands now. I know that was being discussed when we were attending your meeting, and some other changes that might bring that price down, but I don't think anyone believes it will be brought back down to be within budget.
I don't believe that. Can you all hear? The question was, do we believe that with any of the options that we have identified, do we believe that any of them would bring the project back in budget? Sure.
Yeah.
Good evening, Commissioners. Appreciate you listening to us again. This project has been, we've been working on this for a long time, and we've had a lot of support from the fire emergency and law enforcement sectors. We are at a point right now where we're over $1 million over budget. The board voted to go ahead and put this out for bids, and when we got them in, we were, I would have expected being a builder for it to have been over budget, but not to the point it was. So our challenge right now is to try to come up with options or to go ahead with it as is. And if we go ahead with it as is, which we have been told that the money is there to go ahead and do that, we're going to have a special call board meeting on Friday to talk about it again. I cannot tell you that there will be action, but there probably will be. But as you said a minute ago, it's important for the county. We've had so much support for this. The emergency law enforcement sector, firefighters, everyone there has worked with our school to pull this off and make it work well. There have been multiple meetings, and it's been pared down from just a huge project to a workable project. So we do not want to see the momentum go away. It's really important. I understand that you can't make a decision for the next group of commissioners that will be here. I understand that. But I don't know if there is any way we can get some something that says, yes, we will support this as far as operation and maintenance costs down the road. That would be very, very good. How the board will vote on this now going forward, I don't know. I'm the chairman, but I'm not the complete board, so I don't know how we will go forward with it. But we will hopefully continue. But it would be very, very nice if the county could help with the operation and maintenance on it, because we are training county employees, and we are in a life-saving. This is a life-saving venture, teaching people or helping people to save lives. It's very important to us. So,
I don't think there's any question that there's considerable worth in the public safety arena for a facility like this.
Right.
And I understand it's going to cost money.
I think if you would like, we have a couple more board members here. Would you guys want to have something you want to say? Would you?
Commissioner Upton?
Let me ask a couple questions. I've thought about this for quite a long time. My understanding, if we borrowed the money, it's $1 million over, we're going to tie money up for 10 years, is that right?
We're going to tie the money up. Their best estimate is we're going to be tying, that's the last project we'll be doing for about 10 years.
I guess that's my biggest concern is you still going to have needs at the college.
Absolutely we are.
Okay. My next comment, is there anyone, I think I know somebody, is there anybody out there, an expert in this area that has done this work that can look at this project to find out if we can save $100,000 or $50,000? Is there anybody in Haywood or surrounding counties that's been involved with this project, a similar project, that can look at it and tell us you can't build it any cheaper, or you can or you can't? So that's something I'd love, Richard, for us to look at.
Well, we've
we've researched and researched. I think Breck needs to come up and talk to you in just a moment about that. But of course, our architect, we've researched it. Our architect that we hired consulted with an architect who does a lot of this type of thing. My idea is that we looked at an option of maybe going back and splitting the project into two parts: the burn building in one part and the apparatus bay classroom in another part. Therefore, we might get smaller builders to bid on it. Therefore, their bonding burden would be less and possibly help us some there. We have done a lot of work to the point you're talking about, Mr. Upton. A lot has been done background.
Cement, you got to have a different standard for your, whatever term it is, with cement to hold up under the burning. I didn't think a bridge could burn, but I found out on Interstate 40 one year that a tanker wrecked and disintegrated the building, the metal and the concrete.
Yeah.
So, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, Brett could talk to you about that. I mean, there's specialty concrete floors and all that hang in that building and all, so there's a lot of specialty work in it. We are constantly trying to figure how to do this cheaper. We've worked on it adamantly. These folks have worked on it. Our board has, the school has, and we will continue to do that. Absolutely.
Ira, I don't know that there's absolute clarity yet on whether or not any of the quarter-cent sales tax money could be used to maintain this building or not. Could y'all research that through CHIP and others? And I'm not saying that's what we'd do, but it would be another option to consider.
Roll that amount into the loan? Yes.
We'll be glad to research how additional funds could be used for
Okay.
the maintenance part of this.
Okay. And, and Bill had mentioned the future needs of the college, and I know that everybody's aware they will be future needs. But I would really hate for a public safety training facility to be blamed for preventing future projects when we all remember the Creative Arts Building. Okay? That's where the problem occurred. It's not this facility. So I want to put that out there.
I did notice we have got a few people here, and I'm assuming that those folks that are involved with emergency services that are here are in support of the building and think it's a good project. I would ask you to come up, but I don't.
That's our sheriff.
Unless you just want to. If it's okay with the chairman.
Yeah, sure. If you want to make a comment as to the worth, that's fine.
Thank you, Board. Most of you know me already. We've been at this a long time and looked at it, and the committee that got together really fine-tuned this down. We come in and cut away what we absolutely felt like that we had to have, and the burn building and classroom were the highest ranking things. Right now, most of the volunteer fire departments are training, we use Ingalls parking lot here in Waynesville. We use the parking garage when we can. It's not the best place, but we try to look at this thing and make it marketable to draw firefighters in. I taught, as you mentioned, the fire college. I taught a class last year and had students all the way from West Mecklenburg Fire Department down in Mecklenburg County. They do come in. We asked Buncombe one question: if we could build something, if you could redo yours, what's one thing that you would maybe change? And one of them was an attic prop to where they could fight fire inside an attic. They don't have that. To my knowledge, there's not another one in the state of North Carolina. So we tried to get something that would be a drawing card to get firefighters to come here and train. Also hoping that as busy as Buncombe stays, some of that overflow might come here and do that. So, it's...
Let me ask you.
Yes, sir.
Are these training sessions, are any of them multi-day training sessions?
Yeah. Okay. And it gives us an opportunity to train with other departments. The Office of State Fire Marshal under the ISO thing, they want multi-company trainings where we can come in. Maybe it doesn't have to be the whole department, but a group from Maggie and Waynesville and Junaluska could come together and train together, and a lot of that stuff.
So for people who had multi-day that were from outside the area, they would be hotel rooms that would be used in the
be
county
using
restaurants.
that. And then when we have the fire college, we have instructors come from Charlotte and different places, and they use the motels, and they all eat here and spend time here, and that would be an ongoing thing. And even small industry, it'd be an attraction for small industry to come in here, and they pay the full amount. So that's another option that we would have. That
I was going to make one final comment that, I remember when the campaign for the quarter-cent sales tax for community college needs was ongoing, and I remember how many of the emergency services personnel, volunteer firemen,
right,
et cetera, were helping with that campaign because of the comment and the commitment then to build this facility.
Right.
And I don't know how you go back on that. I mean, I just don't know how you do that. So you may show me. I don't know.
I just was going to make a comment. You've got how many local or volunteer fire departments?
13 departments in the county. Yeah. Our plan too is that if Fines Creek wanted to come to the training center, that us as departments, crew from Waynesville, a crew from Maggie can go down and cover their calls while they're training. It's no different than a big city like Raleigh or Charlotte where they move up and do that.
I guess what I'm saying is, there's been a couple of, or one fire department that's kind of done their own training facility.
Right.
And I know there's a couple more that's talking about trying to do their own training facility. So, I mean, to me, they're spending money out there, or thinking about spending money out there to duplicate something. It's not going to be as up to, or the state of the art, but they are doing, I guess, some
they're
kind
doing
of
some of their own. I know Jonathan Creek has and got a nice.
Yeah, and I know I've been at a couple of other fire departments, and that was their plans. I mean, they were talking about trying to do something like that.
Yeah.
And because that makes me wonder. Do we have a buy-in all across the county?
I think we do. I think it's just been so long, and they're so hungry to train. I think they're just. Those that have land are often thinking, well, maybe if this doesn't happen, that we build our own. I think if we go ahead and build it, I think that might curtail some of that.
Well, when I was at the Chiefs meeting, there was buy-in.
Yeah, everybody's pretty much behind it, and they've all been on board and really excited about it. And it kind of, it moved along a little bit and then kind of got stagnant, but it's moved on, and everybody's really excited, hoping that we can work out a deal. And I know the college has worked really hard looking at it, ways that they could do it.
What is and this is going back to you all, what is the potentially next big project that maybe needs to be done, or you all would like to have done down there?
I might give you three. Nursing, our nursing building, we've added and added and added. Early college, and then just a general all-purpose classroom building. We've talked about trying not to pigeonhole buildings, but make them more multi-purpose buildings so that we have the ability to do multiple things. And so just a general classroom building as well. Right now, our general classroom has been added on to several times. We have a classroom two classrooms side by side. You have to walk through one to get to the other one because there's no door. So we've pieced things together to the point of where those would be the three I would say.
What about cosmetology?
Cosmetology, right now, we of course meet state board guidelines. We have to, but we are tight in cosmetology.
Okay. And which I have no problems with this building, because I think our problem was what happened with a building that cost a lot of money. But are you just going to have to put this other stuff off for 10 years?
We don't, we will exhaust the quarter-cent sales tax. Am I correct, Ms. Davis? We will exhaust the quarter-cent sales tax and the ability to use that or to borrow anything for 10 years. Is that correct?
Well, this particular loan will tie up a certain amount of it for 10 years, and we did want to keep a little bit in reserves because we have debt service and in case we have another economic downturn. tied up.
You know, I mean, I've been on the school board, Michael has, Bill's been in the school. You know, we have, public schools have had bond issues approved, lottery proceeds for construction. There's never enough money.
Right.
And there's always needs, there's always roofs to be done. That's just the nature of it. Not doing this is not going to solve that problem.
No, it's still going to be there.
You're going to have it.
Right.
So. Sheriff, any of your contingency want to, oh, Jeff? Okay.
Good evening, gentlemen. I want to, I'll take just a brief moment to speak to this only because Chief Webb and I and Greg Shupin and Marty Stamey and several others have been in this since day one before this board and before the Board of Trustees that sit now. We have watched this ebb and flow. We've watched it start. We've watched it stop. It actually culminated in 2004 when I was the school director. I was the BLET Academy director at the time at HCC, and my office stood under about 4.5 feet of water. And we were displaced. We went up to the facility where they are now, which basically, the graciousness of the college, put us in a place where basically they, once again, I think to use Dr. Parker's words, piecemealed the building, and they did. It works. It's adequate. That's about where it sits. The issue is this. For many years, coming up on about 20 years, this issue has been on the table. This is another example of where we can take a step and improve quality of life, because in doing that, we're providing the services to the people of Haywood County. We're doing the right thing. The Board of Trustees is certainly behind this project. Dr. Parker has pushed this project. The previous Board of Trustees was very, very adamant about this project as well, too. I think it was just a series of unfortunate events that put us in this place. But at some point, it is time to step forward. And I know this board supports public safety like none other. I see that, I feel that, I live that each and every day, and the people of the Sheriff's Office and EMS and the fire service see that, and we appreciate it. Just knowing the history of this, knowing the investment that your public safety officials in this county make for the citizens of Haywood County, many of them volunteers, many more volunteers than paid, that take away from their time, or they take their time away from their family, their jobs, and other vocations and opportunities to serve the people of Haywood County. This stands as a huge opportunity for us to step forward, and I know you see that, and the Board of Trustees see that. Is it going to be a tough issue as far as the financial side of it for the maintenance? Yes, it is. But where there's a will, there's a way. That's been proven many times over by this board and others as well, too. So with that said, I just want to echo what Chief Webb said. This will put us in place for many, many years to come to be able to continue the service that we have improved upon and to continue moving forward. I have trained in other counties, I've trained in other states, I've trained other people in other states. If you build it, people will come. It's that simple. They went west of here. There were some problems with that building that wasn't adequately cared for. It's now closed down. That's just one example. We have the opportunity here to step forward and to make an impression upon not only this community, but to the firefighters, to the EMS, the medics, the law enforcement officers in this county, to really show once again that we support them as we do, and give them the ability and the facility to train and to be able to reward them so they can take care of the citizens of this county. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
The thing is, I don't want to take away from that at all, because I'm in support of it. But unfortunately, this board, like our board, has to deal with previous boards' decisions about projects to undertake. And so you still have to talk about the other projects, because they're taking money away from the quarter-cent sales tax that's needed for this. So the other two projects, obviously we had, and you know the Creative Arts Building was a real issue. And one of the things I remember asking about that was, can these classrooms be utilized for something else besides the creative arts? Because what happens when we don't have the number of students needed, and this is not a continuing thing. And so I guess, and you may or may not be able to answer, but how is that going? And then the other project was the child care facility. How are those two facilities? I mean, are they full? And when I say this, I'm not trying to be negative towards the board now at all, because it wasn't this board that made those decisions. But I would like to know how that is progressing. The other thing, and I think what Mark and Mike pointed to as well, is the fact that if you utilize this, if we build this, if we support these positions and we say, okay, we'll give you the money for these positions, then you're going to have to utilize the majority of the quarter-cent sales tax to pay for this building. Then do you have, or have you taken into account the fact that, just like Mark pointed out, the maintenance of the other buildings that is going to have to take place, and plus these couple other projects that you just said that you needed was additional classrooms, which I had previously asked the president at the time, can you utilize the Creative Arts Building for other classrooms if you need it? So do you see that's the concern that we have, not whether we support the project, because I think that we support the project completely. What we want to be careful in doing is supporting this project and then later on having to provide additional funds or being asked for additional funds because the community college doesn't have the funds to provide classrooms, additional classrooms, that improve the nursing facility, which I'll bet you is maxed out. I bet you have plenty of people that want to participate in the nursing program. So can you help, can you answer that for me, or that? And believe me, I think this board's the board here is doing a great job. And I appreciate it, and I appreciate the thought process that you have taken, and I also appreciate the fact that you came to us before you made that decision to say, we're going to have a tough time doing this, and we need some money, before you made that decision. I'm not going to say any more about my opinions about
How many questions did he give you, Mark?
I
It
was
sounds
gonna
like a
say, I'm not
teacher.
sure where to start on that list, but I'll be happy to try.
Do you understand what we're sitting here having to go through? And I believe
the same things we've gone through. We've had the very same conversations, about we do have needs in the future. We know that. I would say to you that this property was given to the college in 2008 for the purposes of an emergency services facility. Our board has felt strongly that they want to honor that. The challenge is in attempting to honor that, we're $1 million further in debt than we thought we were going to be. But I think our board has been very committed to the public services sectors. We see at the college the community result of having a well-trained emergency services sector. We see what they do every day by going out there and fighting fires, and we want to be a part of training them in a way that's safe so that we don't worry about them, and they can also save other lives. So all the things you've talked about are things that I would say we have discussed as well. Those are all challenges for us. There's only so much money, as Chairman Swanger said, and a bunch of needs. And we have to whittle away because there's not an unlimited pot of money. And so while we're building this, until we get the debt paid off, we will make things work, and we will continue to repair and to try to keep things. We have a wonderful system right now with an architect in-house, a contractor in-house, that we're able to do some things in-house. We came to you all last year about that, and we've been able to save a significant amount of money. So we're trying to squeak out every dollar we can to make it work. But it's a large campus. There are a lot of facilities there, and you know that we're getting ready to celebrate our 50th anniversary. Some of those buildings have been there for 50 years. And you can go up there and see the different buildings and the different repair and the different structures. We have some buildings that are very old, but I don't feel like I feel like we're making the most out of what we have. And we're trying to make the dollars go as far as they can. We have, over the past 2 years that I've been there and before I came, anytime we have a vacancy, we have somebody who retires, we have somebody who leaves, we evaluate that position to determine, is there a way to absorb that position? Can we combine that with something else? Do we really need that position to make sure we're working as efficiently as we can? So I feel like we're trying to stretch the dollars. I don't know if that answered, I don't know which question that was.
Well, the spirit of it does.
Okay. Are there other specific questions you have?
No. I mean, no.
About the usage of the creative arts building for other classrooms. That was one of the questions right there.
The Creative Arts Building, there are studios in that building, and those studios are equipped for different, we have a clay studio that has pottery wheels and clay and kilns. We have a jewelry studio that has workbenches with jewelers' tools and torches and things that jewelers use. We have a wood shop, and it has large pieces of beautiful furniture that students are building. And so it is hard to use that for a history class. It's very difficult to use that space. So it is very specific space, specific to that craft. And it is difficult to use that. There's a computer lab in that building that we use for all campus. We have a career college that we have located in one of the classroom spaces in there. So we do use the less specific type of classroom space, the non-studio space, for other classes. But the studio space, as you can see, is more difficult to use because of the equipment and the things that are there.
How are the enrollments in those two programs, the creative arts and the, what's the child care facility? What do you call that building? Child development.
It is a child care, the Regional Center for the Advancement of Children. It's a child care facility. The creative arts, our enrollment has been steady. We started today, so we do not have official enrollment numbers. I can't tell you exactly what they look like, but I would say it is steady. It is, some of the areas are full to capacity, some are not. We do draw, I will tell you, I do student focus groups with students regularly. That is the program that we probably draw from across the country. They find us through, there's quite a community and quite a network among artists. And so when I ask them how they found out about us, it's through those networks. It's very interesting to hear how they come to us. The Regional Center for the Advancement of Children is not full. We have learned that in order to break even, we have to keep full classrooms. We can't open a classroom and only have 5 children in it. We have to keep it full. We are getting ready to add an infant classroom, Karen, and another just infant. Just infant right now. We do have a waiting list, but we can't open a classroom till we're able to keep it full. We are gaining on our deficit, and things are very positive there. But we are not full to capacity there. But there's a reason we're not.
Okay. I appreciate that. And believe me, I only ask those questions to find out what's going on because I need to know
Absolutely.
what's going on. I don't know how you guys feel about this, but considering the totality of all the I don't want to use too many legal terms, but at any rate, I don't necessarily want to hold this board responsible for previous boards. I think this is something that has been promised to the community. I think they're making a good faith effort to carry it out. They know the circumstances in which they face and the facts and the expenses that they have going forward. We certainly mentioned to you the fact that you're going to have capital improvements and maintenance and expenditures, and you're taking those things into consideration. And you haven't voted yet, but I would be okay to support this. If this provides a facility that's been talked about and promised since 2004, I feel confident enough in the board that we have there and Barbara as the president that they're attempting to make good decisions and run things and predict the real needs of the community. And I wouldn't want to stick them by saying, you know, we probably didn't need that kind of creative arts building. I mean, we probably could have utilized, much money was that? How many millions?
Well, yeah,
Nobody really wants to say it out loud, do they?
over 11 million.
Right. We probably could use that for other things, but we didn't, and we have what we have, and who knows? I mean, it sounds like it's going fairly well.
It is what it is.
So that's kind of where my position.
I'm pretty much the same place. This is not just a community college problem.
Thank you.
Okay, and I know you have limited ability for revenue and so forth, but this maintenance issue will be something that will enable the entire community to benefit, because without the maintenance, you know, you're not going to have a product. So I would join Kirk in pledging that I would support that next budget year.
You know, and obviously, if we're not here, the money may not be there.
You know. So.
Mr. Chairman, I support the project, and Barbara, see, don't take it when we ask the tough questions. I feel
I don't at all. I wasn't prepared. I wanted to give you the most accurate information I could.
But, the tough questions doesn't indicate where our heart is and what we want. So I think it's our job to make sure we've covered all ground possible. And I think while this has been a good board, this board is willing to ask the tough questions so that we don't second guess ourselves down the line. Why didn't you think about this? So.
Well, and I want to say our board has asked the tough questions as well. They have been very diligent in moving forward through this process. They have asked us the tough questions. We've asked ourselves the tough questions. So I would say that they've been very methodical in the process and very reflective in the process.
Wait for me now. My hopes, and I am very confident that you all are going to do this, but when you go back before obviously you're going to make a decision, and you know, I've always supported this project. It was a little, more than a little taken back when the bid come in. But I would ask that you all really look at it very closely. Consider the different issues about the bids or whatever, to try to see if it possible that there is some savings in that thing, maybe to cut it, look at it back when you started and then you moved. I think you all added some classrooms for one thing and another, because I think we all want this project to happen. My concern is moving forward, and going on in the needs that you all will need. As far as the maintenance, I've asked some pretty detailed questions about that. It's always nice for something to pay its way. And if it's not going to pay its way, but that's not, in the scheme of things, it's not a whole lot to ask for. Still want to sleep on it a little bit, but that's not a game changer, okay?
Okay, a little housekeeping, I think. Julie, can you tell us when a decision needs to be made for you to do your job with getting this before the local government commission?
Yes, it depends. It's another it depends answer, but if the project is going to go forth the way it stands, which we're going to use the bids, those bids run out October 14th. Which means the local government commission will have to approve it at their October meeting, which is, I think, October 6th. So in order for that to happen, assuming the college trustees decide to go ahead with it, then we have to back up from there and get our application in by the 1st of September. Before we do that, we have to have a public hearing. And the public hearing, the best time, really the only time it can be, is the next meeting.
Okay. Now let me ask you this. Say for some reason we can't meet that deadline or that date. When would the LGC meet again?
They meet monthly. They meet the first Tuesday of every month.
Okay, so it would be what we're looking at, the worst-case scenario is a 1-month delay.
The bids would
Well, the
expire.
bids would expire at that point.
Okay, your bids expire.
They expire October 14th.
Okay, I got you. Okay, well, we need to be prepared to move. And in order to do that, we would need to call tonight for a public hearing for September 8th at 9 a.m. here in this room. These are required. This would be the second public hearing, I believe, would it not?
We are required to have a public hearing. You'll remember that we have already had a public hearing on this very project. At the time, we had a not-to-exceed amount of $2.9 million to borrow. It looks like that the amount we're going to have to borrow could be closer to $4.4 million. That being the case, we're required to have another public hearing.
Okay. And that's a not-to-exceed amount?
A not-to-exceed amount.
Okay. And this is pursuant to Section 160A-20 of the General Statutes of North Carolina. So this is something we would need to have the public hearing called in the event that the college takes affirmative action.
Yes, and the timing is critical here too, because I'm going to have to put an advertisement in the newspaper for the public hearing by October 24th, so that it'll hit the 28th.
Okay. Then,
I've got a question. If you all decide to rebid this thing and split it up and bid it, how long will that take?
Rick, you want to talk about that?
I'd say if we split the project to rebid in order to save money, we're looking at doing some redesign, which is going to take some amount of time. I'd say we'd be looking at rebidding probably in January, February. I don't think we could turn it around faster than that. If we just split the project specifically and bid the burn building that we have now, we could turn that around in probably a month and have that ready to bid. So it's kind of up to the board, whatever decision they make.
I would hope that time frame is kind of pushed, but we're talking about a lot of money.
Right.
And, if the potential's there, I hope we don't get caught up in the time frame.
Right.
Okay?
well, if we'll call for a public hearing, and if we don't need it, we'll just cancel it, that's all. So no harm, no foul there. But I will need a motion to suspend the rules. Our rules of procedures state that public hearings will only occur in the evening hours. The only date we could do this is a morning meeting. So I would entertain a motion that we suspend the rules to allow the public hearing to occur at the 9:00 a.m. hour.
So you're not just putting on the calendar for the call to a public hearing on that day?
I'm going, if I get your...
We're actually going to have the public hearing on that Monday?
Yeah.
On that morning?
That's the date she said she needs it.
Okay. I'll move to suspend your rules from 14 years ago. I'll move to suspend.
I second the
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
his rules.
Aye, that's unanimous. Okay, now, we have the rules suspended, so therefore we will call for the public hearing on September 8, 2015 at 9:00 a.m. in the historic courtroom concerning the approval of the execution and delivery of a financing contract not to exceed $4.4 million for the construction of a public services training facility at Haywood Community College. So you'll schedule that for us?
Yes, we'll have that on the next meeting if they vote to go ahead.
Yeah, we'll base it on what the college board does, and if we need to cancel it, we can do that.
We'll be in touch Friday afternoon.
Barbara Sue, will y'all make a decision of whether to split the projects and this at your board meeting?
Did you ask me? I'm sorry.
Will y'all talk about whether you want to split the projects?
I think that will be discussed at the meeting. Is that?
Mr. Upton, we discussed options at our last board meeting. Ms. Swanger was there. I think we discussed options when you were there, and we not discuss all options, but we threw out as many as we could. We will still be looking at those. I'm sure when we meet on Friday, there will be a very active dialogue about options and money and so forth. And I agree with with y'all when you, with Sorrel especially, that we don't want to push the issue because there's a lot of money involved. So we have to make the best decision we can about the time frame, about options. There's a lot of things that have to come together, but we will be meeting on Friday to discuss that again. So rest assured, we'll do the best job we can.
Okay, anything else? I think that's enough, don't you?
Thank you.
Okay. Is there any additional business? If not, would entertain a motion to enter into closed session for purposes of economic development. General Statute 143-318.11A4.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you. If returned from closed session, is there additional business for the board? Hearing none, would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you.